How do I select my tax return preparer? Hi, I'm financial planner Sean Mullaney. Let's discuss. So I'm a tax-focused financial planner, and as a result of that, I often get inquiries, hey, Sean, do you have somebody who could prepare my taxes this year? Or how should I go about selecting my tax return preparer, Sean? And here's the thing, there's no silver bullet in this regard, right? I wish I could just say, hey, go to this website and you'll find a great tax return preparer, or find this credential and that person will be the perfect tax return preparer for you. And guess what? There's absolutely no silver bullet in this regard. So if you're a taxpayer and you have a tax return that needs preparation, what do? Right? If there's no silver bullet. And what I would do if I needed my tax return prepared is I'd say, okay, how do I maximize the chance that I'm going to have a good experience with this particular tax return preparer? And I've come to believe that there is one thing you could do that could greatly increase your chances of having a good experience with your tax return preparer. That one thing, filing your tax return on extension. That means not filing the return by April 15th, but maybe in May or June or July, no later than October 15th. Right? So if I was looking for a new tax return preparer, or even if I was already working with one, what I would do is I would go to him or her and say, hey, will you prepare my tax return on extension? Will you file the extension for me? And then, hey, can we get this thing done on extension? So why do I say that? Isn't that a little odd? Why are we extending the tax return? Shouldn't we get filed by April 15th? You have to think about the environment in which tax return preparers work. And it is a crazed environment between, say, early February and April 15th. The workload, the pressure, the complexity, it's too much, in my opinion, right? It has gotten out of control, right? And it's almost inhumane, frankly. And what we're trying to do is get you to have the best experience possible. Your tax return preparer is probably going to be at least somewhat frazzled through no fault of their own between mid to late February and April 15th. Do you want their time and attention then? I would say no, it's probably better to have their time and attention working on your matters for the most part, say in May, June, July, when there's not that April 15th deadline crunch, right? So if I was working with a tax return preparer, I'd say, hey, can we get this thing extended? And then we work together to get this thing in really good shape in May, June, July, whenever that is, before October 15th. You know, the tax return preparer is going to be in a better place mentally in terms of their sleep, in terms of their workload. There are some practical considerations here, but to my mind, they're not so bad. So you actually do need some of your tax return preparer's time and attention before April 15th to estimate, okay, how much tax do I owe for this year, or do I not owe any at all, right? Because that extension is important, but it only extends the time to file. It does not extend the time to pay the taxes, right? So you need to have your tax return preparer before April 15th come up with a rough estimate. But the cool thing is the details don't matter so much here, right? Come up with a quick, rough estimate and be conservative. Pay in a little extra. It's no big deal to get a refund when you ultimately file that tax return, right? I would rather have the tax return preparer do a little work before April 15th, get an estimate going of what are the taxes due. You pay that estimate before April 15th. That's fine. And then the details, the complexity can really be worked on in May, June, July, when the tax return preparer's got a little more sleep and is a little less frazzled. So that would be the one tactic I would employ when I'm looking for a tax return preparer is, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Preparer, will you be willing to file this on an extension? I think that's the gating issue these days in terms of finding a tax return preparer that you're going to have a good experience with. Let me know if you have any thoughts on this. It's a complicated situation right now, and the rules are just too complicated these days. Let me know what you think. There's comments below. I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, please like the video and hit that subscribe button. See you next time.